once you've got your hair secured and ready to start braiding, just separate your hair into the sections that you're going to need. So 3 if you're doing your standard plait, 4 if you're doing a round braid, 6 if you want to do a fancy 6-strand round braid, and just begin your braid. So this one that I'm doing is a 4-strand round braid. Can be a bit tricky to get your fingers around, but you have your 4 sections. What you do is you bring your outside one here, take it to the back, and you bring it through between the first and the second on your left and over the top of the second one. Then you bring your outside from the left behind, bring it up between your first and second on the right and over the top of the second one. So outside, back, between the first and second and over the second, outside, back, over first and second. Outside, back, between the first and second, over that second one, outside, back, between the first and second and over. And just continue. Okay, when you get to the end of your braid, so that it doesn't unravel on you, just hold it in one hand, like that, and grab your super glue and just dab a bit of it onto the hair front and back. Okay, and that'll set pretty quickly so that you will be able to let it go and it won't come undone. Okay, so once you've removed your braid from where you had it secure and where you've had that super glue on there to hold it to stop it from coming undone, so if that's where your super glue is, come up a little bit further and just tie it off again with a thread. Wrap it around a few times, tie off a knot, and cut the string down. Okay, so you're going to need to measure your wrist. You can either use a measuring tape like this. So if you hold it just above your wrist bone up on this side here. Again, if you've got someone to help you do it, quite often that's a lot easier. Just apply it around your wrist so it's firm, but it's not loose, not tight, not cutting in. So in my case, when you measure my wrist, I'm at 16.5 centimetres. So that's my wrist size. To just make it a comfortable fit, I want it to be about 2 centimetres longer than my wrist. But for the DIY kit, what you need to do is measure your wrist. Mine was 16.5, and we need to cut the braid, make it a centimetre shorter, so it'll be 15.5 centimetres. Okay, so if we go back to the end where we started our braid on, if we take our thread and we want to come down just a little bit past where we started, because the braid on this, where this thread is, isn't very neat and even. So we can take our thread, come down a little bit like that, and now firmly strongly and securely. Wrap the thread around quite a few times before we go and tie our knot, because this will now be where the finished braid is, and we'll be going into our braid ends. Oops. I cut that off. So this time we want to be a bit more careful with where we put the glue. So we don't want the glue coming down onto this part of the braid, because that will be the bracelet. This part here will get cut off. So just very carefully put a bit of that super glue onto the thread. And you can add a little bit more past the end. And then what we need to do is cut that piece off. So very carefully with some very sharp scissors, or if you've got a craft knife, you can cut that off with a craft knife like that. And then just dab another bit of glue just onto the end bits on here to hold them together. And we can just cut the extra thread off. There we go. Okay, so that's our first cut in. So it's from this end that we're going to measure the length of our bracelet. So in my case, my wrist is 16.5 centimetres. So what I want to do is I want this braid to be 15.5 centimetres, so half a centimetre shorter. So if you place your braid nicely up onto the start of your ruler so it lines up, and then what you want to do is measure your length. So in my case it will be 15.5 centimetres, which means I will need to cut it at this point here. That being the case, I need to have the thread just a little bit down from there. So if I need to cut at 15.5, I will grab it at 15.5, then hold it on this side here. I will take my thread, and again we're going to have to wrap it around several times. And tie it off. Okay, once you've tied it off, you can just double check you've got it in the right place. So stick it back onto your ruler. So mine's a start there. Take it along. I want it to be 15.5. So I'm just under. Excellent. So I can cut that off. Now if you've got extra braid still coming off, you can tie another bit of string a little bit further along, and you can use that braid for something else. Okay. So that's my bracelet braid, and then that's the extra bit there, so I've just tied a little bit extra to save what's left and keep it from getting unwound. So again what we do is just put a little bit of glue onto our thread and the horsehair that's going to be cut off. Then take our sharp scissors or our sharp knife and just very carefully cut off the bit we don't need. Take the super glue, dab another little bit on the end there. Tie off the extra. Cut off any extra thread. Let that dry a little bit and we're ready to put our beads on. Okay, so we're ready to finish our bracelet. Put a bit of glue onto the end. Take our cord end, bracelet for the bracelet end, stick it on. Now if it is a little bit loose while it is setting, what you can do is you can actually just wind some more thread onto it to thicken it up. Like that. Okay, we can now set our bracelet and put it together. So just double check that your bracelet end fits in. If it's a little bit loose, you can wind a bit more thread around it. In this case, it fits. So apply glue to the end, onto the thread, and push it in and let it set. Or if you've got access to some epoxy araldite, you can use that. Once that's dried, we go onto the other end and we can thread our beads on, whatever beads you might want, or whatever beads are in your kit, entirely up to you. Take our super glue, again, apply it onto the end of the thread and the braid. Put our cord end on, let it set. Oops. There we go. And your bracelet is finished. Do up your clasp, add any other charms that might have been in your kit, add it onto your bracelet, and you're ready to wear it. Your first horsehair bracelet finished. Well done.